you know what the cold open is going to be? Guess who? You know, it's a new season. It's a new day. A fresh anointing.
Oh.
And
Shondo.
And guess who was on time and guess who was late?
All right, we're not going to get into that. All right, first of all,
we don't want to get into it.
The meeting time was 11.
Now we don't want to get into it.
The meeting time was 11.
Now we don't want to get into it when you're actually the late one.
Hey, got to be.
New season 2, you know, new year, new me. New year, new earliness.
The devil is a liar. Anyway, period. Anyway, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to season 2 of Culture 316. I'm one of your hosts, Jay the Creative.
I'm your other host, the icon, Angelo Carter.
And it feels like a lot has happened since the last time we were on air.
A lot has happened.
Sasha Banks is back. Sasha Banks, the boss, is back, and she's going to be competing this Sunday for the Raw Women's Championship against Becky Lynch in a Hell in a Cell. In addition to that, All Elite Wrestling announced their Wednesday program, AEW Dynamite, on TNT at 8 p.m. They had their debut show this past week, and we're going to be getting into that, but it's been an eventful week in wrestling.
Yeah, this was premiere week for
premiere
WWE
week.
And for AEW.
And for AEW. I believe that Impact has moved to either Tuesdays or not yet. Impact Wrestling has moved to Tuesdays and Thursdays because they are now on Access TV.
No, it was Tuesdays. Thursdays is MLW or one of those places.
Yeah. But they and that's because Anthem and Access TV did a merger. It's just mad funny how they were literally trying to get on Access and they got denied, and then the parent company just bought the company. It's like, all right, now you're going to be on Access.
Yeah, it's so funny because it's literally like Impact was at the brink of death, and they just continue to get resurrected.
But
it's
God,
just like,
if you ever want to know the evidence of the grace of God, just look at Impact Wrestling. But we're not even going to get super deep into that, but we are going to talk about this amazing premiere week, starting with Monday Night Raw on the USA Network. It was branded as a season premiere. Brock Lesnar was there, beat the living salvation out of Rey Mysterio and his son. I don't want to hear anything about Dominic needing to pay his dues, because them bumps he took.
You know, and some people were like, you know, I guess some people really got worked by this on social media. Oh, Brock, I hate him because he beat up Ray's son. Well, if you paid attention, you would know that Ray's son is training and has been training for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And or maybe even longer.
Maybe even longer.
I checked
it's
his
just public
Twitter.
knowledge that
I like scrolled down his Twitter and he was doing like standing shooting star presses on crash pads, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you've been training for a minute, unless he's been doing, you know, gymnastics his whole life. But Dominic is what, 22?
Yeah, I think he is. He's around that, yeah.
So before I go into, you know, that, we have a new announced team.
Oh, yeah.
Vic Joseph, Dio Madden, and Jerry the King Lawler. I could have done without Jerry the King Lawler.
I think we all could have done without Jerry the King Lawler.
Hey, stop it. I want to be in WWE.
Go ahead.
You know, I could have done without Jerry, but I mean, it was fine here. I didn't have any issues. And really, I think it's when he gets too, you know, excited.
Right.
It's just like, okay, shut up. Vic Joseph was okay. Dio Madden didn't really talk much. I'm going to say that it was the first week. I can't really complain.
Right.
Let's see how they do 2 to 3 weeks from now, or let's see how they do next year. And, you know, let's see how they do on a pay-per-view, you know, this Sunday. Let's see what happens, you know. But speaking of that, Jerry kept saying that Dominic was a teenager. I'm just like, okay, well, how old was Dominic in 2005?
When he was doing that, he was definitely like 8 or 9.
And I'm just like, okay, if he was 8 or 9 in 2005, he is nowhere near even being a teenager in 2000.
I feel like Jerry the King Lawler and Scott Steiner took the same math class, because neither of them are good with numbers.
Somebody on Twitter was like, oh, well, he called him a teenager because that's the only thing that he likes to marry. I was like, okay, I'm stepping out of the shade room. I am stepping out of the shade room. I don't want to step in.
Deliverance.
I'm stepping out.
Deliverance is what we all need. But I feel like Vic Joseph did a pretty good job. Vic literally went from 205 Live to being on the flagship show of WWE, which is a huge step. Well, 205 Live and NXT UK.
Yeah, I mean, I would consider SmackDown the flagship show now, considering how they, marketed the hell out of that.
And that set. Oh,
that set is nice.
That set is beautiful.
I love the parentheses. It's dope.
Yeah, legit. Yeah. But we're not gonna get into SmackDown now. But
yeah.
What were some of the standout moments to you from Monday night?
Sasha Banks squashing Alexa Bliss.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was a great moment, considering everything. Considering Sasha losing her 4th title in 8 days to Alexa Bliss.
Yep.
Considering their beef. That has been, pretty apparent.
Pretty well known. Outside of the ring.
Sasha has even said that she enjoys working with her in her Legit Boss collection on the network.
Right.
But, whatever, I guess.
Enjoying working with somebody and enjoying the actual person are two totally different things.
Exactly. Like, I can enjoy working with you, but I don't have to like you. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
a fact.
But whatever. I think that was pretty interesting considering their history and considering how heavy the company was pushing Alexa for quite some time.
Right.
What else? Honestly, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I stopped watching after Sasha Banks.
Hey, I can't blame you for that.
What
I will say though, what do you have to say?
Oh, I wanted to, talk about how they're going to have 2 really old men go at it in Saudi Arabia.
I don't think they're gonna be having a match.
I don't think they're having a match, but
it's
I'm just
the
like
2 teams and just kind of like the feud surrounding it.
Survivor Series is literally 3 weeks from Crown Jewel. 3 weeks, or maybe even 2.
But and I bet that. But this, I'm gonna talk about Survivor Series at another time because the whole idea of NXT being on the USA Network now raises the question.
Ooh. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about it after Hell in a Cell.
But I feel like the Hogan Flair announcing a block, the whole Hogan and Flair team
Flair.
Yeah,
I can't.
Yeah, Flair, we bangs with you, Hogan. But I think the whole idea of having Hogan's team versus Flair's team, I like the idea more than I like the idea of Flair and Hogan having a match. Even though Team Flair and Team Hogan was definitely a thing in TNA.
Yeah.
In a lethal lock.
TNA
tweeted it.
Trolled WWE.
And it was like, nice match.
TNA trolled WWE. That is saying something about 2019.
Wrestling. When John Cena's Tide Company can say something and it'd be a legitimate inquiry.
Renee Young was like, oh my God, Flair Hogan, one more match. Is that what you want? Like, is this really what you want, Renee?
I don't want that. Mm-mm.
We don't want this. Nobody wants this. They're old. They can't move.
We want Ric Flair to have life and have it more abundantly. And I feel like the worst way to pursue that is having a wrestling match with Hulk Hogan.
I feel like it's going to be like that match that Bret Hart and Vince McMahon had
at Mania.
Was it at WrestleMania?
It was
it
at
Mania,
that 26 in Phoenix?
Yes, it was. I thought it was a regular pay-per-view. Where basically Vince beat up himself and Bret sat in a chair and pinned him with his foot. Like, literally, that would be the match, and everybody would just be like, "Are you serious?"
But then again, it's Saudi Arabia, and the excitement level is different over there because they don't get to see WWE that often.
True, and the Crown Prince wanted Yokozuna.
Even though he was definitely
during, that first Saudi show.
Yeah. When Titus O'Neil created Slidus
Greatest
O'Neil.
Royal Rumble. That's what it was called.
Yeah. But I think the biggest WTF moment of the night was Bobby Lashley and Lana.
What was that ending?
I don't know. I think it's very interesting how they kept Lana coming back as a surprise, because we would have heard rumors about Lana coming back.
They had Rusev coming back as a surprise, and everybody was like, and the crowd goes,
and the crowd goes bleh. But I mean, like, Lana coming back was a nice surprise
too.
They
cared about Sasha Banks though.
And I love how Lana and Lashley are keeping kayfabe by being on that blue carpet together on SmackDown, even though it was cringeworthy.
Right.
I don't know if Lana.
Listen, we see what happened to Macho Man.
Yeah, it's a fact.
His wife and all. All right.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna get super deep into that. I don't want Rusev to put me in that lock, so I'm gonna just keep it at that. Interesting though, 2019 interracial relationships being teased on the flagship show. Next thing that we're gonna get into though is what the wrestling world has been a buzz about for the past at least month and a half to 2 months, and that is the war between All Elite Wrestling and NXT.
Yeah.
NXT debuted on the USA Network on September 18th. They started with a 1.1 rating. AEW, on the other hand, started on October 2nd. Ironically, on the same day, NXT had their 2-hour premiere as opposed to their 1-hour premiere. And we're going to break down the differences.
Yeah.
Did you want to break down NXT, or do you want me to?
I mean, I'll talk about what I saw of NXT,
All right,
which
you go
were a
ahead
few
then.
clips. You know, I didn't really get to watch it yet because
Right.
I've been doing a lot of stuff. I thought Candice LeRae and Shayna Baszler had a great match.
Yep.
I really wanted Candice to win.
Right.
Not just because, oh my God, I love Candice, and Candice is Johnny Gargano's wife, and by extension, I love Candice. You know, no, because I wanted
Somebody new.
a new champion. Like, Shayna's held the title for like a year.
Very true.
And, you know, not only that, but, you know, I feel like Shayna could, I don't know. I just feel like they probably could have done something different.
Right.
You know, they could have really changed, you know, some stuff. We could have even if the plan was just to have Candice be a transitional champion onto Io Shirai.
Right.
You know, that would have been a pretty good thing. But I don't know. I mean, you beat Candice. Who's the next challenger for this title? I mean, Dakota Kai is a good challenger.
I feel
but
like
I'm just
Io would be the next challenger if Candice were to win.
Exactly. I feel like that opens up more possibilities. But I'm just like, who's the next challenger? Taynara Conti? Like,
Funny-
she's
Taynara
pretty.
is cool, but like I don't think that
Aaliyah?
Vanessa Bourne.
Vanessa Bourne.
Funny thing is, if Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah were to go up to the main roster now, and they were to make a faction with Carmella, I think that would be fire.
They would be like the Iconics. They're good. Not in terms of personality. They're good. Like, they're good wrestlers. They have a good gimmick. They're just not like, everybody doesn't love them.
Right. I feel like if they were under the right heel, they can get a rub. I love the Iconics too. But yeah, that was NXT. They also had an NXT title match to open up the show.
Opening the show, which I thought was a very interesting decision.
I mean, I think that they wanted to grab people right away.
Right away, exactly.
But what I will say though,
Didn't quite work, but
it didn't. I mean, yeah, we'll get into that later. But that match was great. The Riddle versus Cole match was a really good match. One of the best NXT title matches I've ever seen, at least top 3. And they ended off the show with an NXT tag team title match featuring the Street Profits versus the Undisputed Era. Walking with the Street Profits to the ring, Wale hyping them up. I thought that was a great touch. It was very pay-per-view-esque of a feel.
yeah.
And there were also 2 major returns after Adam Cole retained.
I'm like, who's Adam Ricola?
Ricola. But after Adam Cole retained his NXT championship, out comes Finn Balor. And at the end of the show, when Adam Cole was on the stage, out came Ciampa. Also important to note that when Finn Balor came out, he said that he is now NXT.
Some people were saying it's a downgrade. I
think it's an upgrade.
I don't disagree with that. And here's why. I'm just like, I feel like if they gave Finn an opportunity on SmackDown to be a SmackDown top guy going after the top championship, I feel like you could have just had him come back, or even had him come back on Raw as the Demon, had a match. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know if I like Finn being back in NXT. To me, it just feels like retreading old. Like, it'd be cool to see some of the matches you know, like Finn and Adam Cole, Finn and Johnny Gargano. But I'm just like, those were matches that we could have gotten
on the main roster.
On the main roster.
Here's the thing. I feel like in 2019, especially when you have two WWE shows essentially on the same network, I don't think that it's about where you are. It's a matter of how you're being used. So when I think that because Paul Heyman is in charge of Raw at this point in time, I feel like he already has his main event picture.
Right.
I feel like he already has his guys, which means that I think that if he was to come back on Raw, it would be hard to use Finn. As it pertains to SmackDown, I don't know what Eric Bischoff is up to. I don't know if his progression is a little bit slower than Paul's or if he's just working to make certain things come to fruition.
Right.
But under the leadership of Eric Bischoff, I'm not sure how Finn being a SmackDown guy will look. The only proven and tried and true commodity that we know is that when Finn is in NXT, Finn goes off. Finn is used correctly.
Right.
And you gonna say?
I don't doubt that. You know, I don't doubt that he will be used correctly. I just feel like if we're taking advantage of NXT being on USA, NXT now being essentially the ECW of 2007, 2008 era, where they're looking at it as an equal third brand, even though people are still going to look at it as developmental or as, you know, not on the same level as Raw and SmackDown, even though it isn't because it's above. I would say still like Finn going, it almost feels like, okay, you're going back to NXT. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if they would have put like a Natty in NXT, because I really don't feel like there's a place for Natty on the main roster right now. I feel
Except
like if
for
they
her
would
bathroom break feud with Lacey Evans.
You know, if they would have put a Natty in NXT and had her have a couple matches against Shayna Baszler, those was slap.
Those were OD slap.
I feel like if you put like, even if you were to put somebody back in NXT, put Asuka back in NXT. You know what I'm saying? Have Asuka go and chase her championship.
Right.
And go and chase her NXT Women's Championship. You know, if you're going to put people in NXT, put people there that have never been there. You know, AJ is a big star. I don't think they'd ever put him in NXT.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that would have been cool, having AJ in NXT, even if it was only for a couple of months. You know, put AJ in NXT. Have AJ fight Adam Cole for the NXT Championship.
That would be a banger.
You know, do stuff like that.
But I feel like with Finn, I think that Finn has the opportunity to kind of recreate and reinvent himself. There was I feel like there was an interview that he was asked about the Undisputed Era, and he was saying, you know, he was like, you know, I tried to confront Adam Cole, but it looks like I'm going to have to confront the Undisputed Era. So it looks like if I have to face a group, I know what I got to do. And that opens up the possibilities of Finn forming his own faction in NXT, which I would love. I feel like with the OC or BC or Balor Club with Gallows and Anderson, I feel like Gallows and Anderson mesh better with AJ than they do with Finn. And so I feel like as a unit, the OC makes a lot more sense than OGBC. I feel like Finn can start from scratch and create something that's even better than what the OC has now.
I wouldn't say that they mesh better with AJ. I just think that they were baby faces with Finn.
Very true.
And they're natural heels, the OC. So are we good? Yeah, they're natural heels with the OC. So I feel like with AJ's every time they're with AJ, they're heels. Right. You know, so I feel like if Finn was a heel and they were all together, it probably would have made more sense.
But yeah, I can definitely see that. But we can talk a lot about this. I'm not even we'll talk more about this. But I feel like the most interesting part was Ciampa coming back.
Definitely. Is he 100%?
He's 100% and medically cleared by WWE.
Nice. Oh, that's going to be so fun.
So we have some potential in the fun. I think that the biggest concern for me with NXT moving to the USA Network was one of the things that I realized that there weren't a lot of good number one contenders for the NXT title. That would help sustain it to a point, because I feel like Johnny is in a place right now where he's not going to be contending for the title. I feel like he's going to put a couple of guys over. But it was like you got Adam Cole, and then you just like, who else? And even if you had a guy like Velveteen Dream contend for it, I would much rather see him contend for it at a WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
But there's so much space in between now and then that you need a couple of competitors to kind of, hold them over.
I really want Johnny on SmackDown.
Me too. But if you have Ciampa, if you have Finn, and Adam beats both of them, I feel like that solidifies his reign as being a great reign.
Yeah.
And would solidify whoever beats him as a legitimate champ. So it goes both ways. But we're going to see. I'm very, very excited about NXT on USA. If you guys are as well, comment, tell us how you feel.
Yeah.
But now we're moving on to what counter-programmed NXT, and that was All Elite Wrestling's Dynamite. So it was on TNT going live, and they were in DC as opposed to NXT, which was at Full Sail University.
Right.
Very, very interesting. They sold out of the Capital One Arena, which is very interesting considering the fact that is very much a WWE size arena. Fun fact, I went to see SummerSlam 05 with Hogan and Shawn Michaels at that same arena.
Nice.
So the fact that they were able to run that arena is very, very impressive. They started off the show with Cody versus Sammy Guevara, which led into an attack by Chris Jericho, who is the AEW World Champion. We saw Rio defeat Nyla Rose for the World Women's Championship. We saw Hangman Page.
That's what it's called?
Yes, the AEW World's Women's Championship.
Okay.
So then we have Hangman Page losing to Pac. And we finished off the night with a 6-man tag team match where it was Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus Chris Jericho and Santana and Ortiz. A couple of main stinging points in this match were that Jon Moxley made his return and attacked Kenny Omega. We saw Santana and Ortiz pick up a pinfall win over the Young Bucks, and we also saw Dustin Rhodes make his AEW TV debut. We also saw Jake Hager make his AEW debut. We also saw a match between MJF and Brandon Cutler, which I forgot to mention, which is not as important as this main event. But I felt like the main event was really, really good. And this is just like me taking a little detour. But the main event was really good because it was the first TV multi-man tag match that had multiple payoffs.
Yeah.
So we have Jon Moxley reigniting his feud with Kenny Omega because they couldn't fight it all out because Jon Moxley was injured. We had Santana and Ortiz picking up that pinfall win over the Young Bucks, which is huge considering they're about to start their tag team tournament the following week. Mm-hmm. And because they are a fairly new tag team, having a pinfall over the Young Bucks, that's going to obviously put them at an advantage. And then you have Jake Hager making his debut. And because he made his debut in the main event, that puts him right in the spotlight, right in the mix of all the other company's biggest heels. So I thought it was a multiple payoff. It had multiple payoffs, but I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on AEW's TV debut.
Well, congratulations to them, honestly. Right. I think that, it's really cool to have another, thing to watch other than WWE. I have not watched AEW Dynamite yet. I will definitely try to watch next week, like live.
Right.
But I have not watched like anything. Like I've seen clips, of course, on Instagram. I follow them on Twitter, all that stuff. I thought, a lot of people said the show was really good. I can't really say like if it was good or great or not or anything like that. Because again, I didn't see it. But honestly, congrats to them. I'm not the biggest fan of Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. For
reasons. But, or really his brother in that matter. I'm not really the biggest fan of them, but I think MJF is pretty cool. Right. I think his character's pretty cool. They said that MJF is the Miz with no filter.
That's mad funny.
And it really is. Like, he really is the Miz without the kid filter. But, I mean, I like MJF.
So you like him? You say you like him or you don't?
I do. I like him. I like that he lives his gimmick. But
He was on some type of news show, and the newscaster touched his scarf. He was like, "Don't touch my scarf." It was bad.
I love that he lives his gimmick, because that's exactly the kind of wrestler that I want to be. I want to live my gimmick, not so much that I'm like Ric Flair. I'm not gonna say the rest of my comment. But you understand what I'm saying.
You said the entire name, with the exception of one letter.
I'm not gonna say the rest of my comment. The rest of my comment was not a good thing to say.
You would have been sat down
Forever.
Forever.
I don't want to live my gimmick OD. I'm going to say that. I don't want to be in debt.
But you know what? Just don't even say the sentence, because it's going to lead you to say.
Yeah, I don't want to live my gimmick that hard. And I feel like, a lot of people now are trying to do that. Oh, I'm going to live my gimmick. I'm just going to be, rude to people for no reason. No. I mean, at least MJF, I'm sure he doesn't do it in a professional place.
Right.
But like, you're on the news show, and you have to be, your character essentially.
Right.
Like even now, Sasha Banks has been doing interviews and stuff like that. And she's just like, thanks, Vince, for my, private jet and my bus. And I'm the first female ever to get a bus. And like, but that's her 100% living her gimmick.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, again, I really like them. I really like MJF. I like John Moxley a lot.
Yeah, I
like John Moxley.
Yeah.
Not Dean Ambrose, John Moxley.
John Moxley is amazing.
Kenny Omega's cool. I still am trying to find like the appeal of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. Like,
right.
They're not bad. I don't think that they're bad wrestlers at all, but I just can't I guess they're not my cup of tea really.
Right.
And I have to learn them. But I mean, they have a show now, so I can learn them while watching AEW Dynamite.
I mean, hey, that's what it's there for. But I can definitely, I feel like with the Young Bucks and Omega, I think that the reason why they're so heavily liked is because there was such this mystique around them, because they were the international guys.
Yeah.
They were the guys in Japan, and they were the guys that all these WWE guys faced. And he was the best wrestler in the world. And he wasn't in WWE. He was making a killing and not being in WWE.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it.
And I get it. But we're going to move on.
Like, I'm trying to find where I'm trying to find like the Dave Meltzer appeal.
Right. Now, according to Nielsen, All Elite Wrestling Dynamite recorded a 1.4 rating, coming in second to the MLB AL wildcard game featuring the Tampa Bay Rays and the Oakland Athletics, and was the biggest broadcast premiere in 5 years on TNT. Meanwhile, this week's episode of WWE NXT came in at a 0.8, but still fell into the top 10 for programming for that night. My question to you is this an indication of things to come for AEW and NXT, or do you think that because it was just like the season premiere that the rating was so heavy?
It's week one. It's week one for AEW. There's a lot of mystique around AEW. People wanted to see what it was about. And so I'm not shocked that they beat NXT in the ratings, but NXT is a proven brand.
Very true.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that there were a lot of people who were like, okay, cool, I'm going to watch AEW because I can just watch NXT on the network tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm sure that that's what it's going to be like for a lot of weeks, until, either Triple H decides that they're not going to put NXT on for a week, for a month, like how they do Raw and SmackDown, or who knows? I personally think that it was week one. I think that this little Wednesday Night War is going to be up and down. It's not going to just be, 1 week NXT might win, 1 week AEW might win. I feel like this is definitely going to be the test now. Like, does NXT have the talent to really sustain? Does AEW have the talent to really sustain? We know NXT does. We know NXT has Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Bianca Belair, Shayna Baszler, Tommaso Ciampa, Finn Balor now. They can take advantage of the fact that they can bring some main roster guys into NXT. John Morrison just re-signed. We don't know if he's going to go to NXT or if he's going to go to the main roster. We don't know. They signed so many other people, from other companies.
Right.
We don't know who they're going to have on the show yet. So, I say let's wait 6 months.
Yeah.
And in 6 months, if AEW is beating them in ratings by like 2 million and NXT is still in the 700,000, 800,000, then we'll tell.
Right.
You know,
I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with
give
that.
us 6
for sure.
months, give it a year even. Next year, let's see who's really
Winning,
see
yeah.
who's really winning. Let's
Even-
see if they move AEW to Tuesdays or whatever.
Right. I mean, even with that, I mean, we have to consider that even when it was the Monday Night Wars and it was WCW versus WWE, WCW beat them for 82 straight
82 weeks, yeah.
82 weeks. That was a year and a half. And all it took was one show for WCW to make a bad decision, and next thing you know, it swayed to another side.
Yep.
And so I think that part of what we have to consider as audiences, wrestling fans, is that a sway and momentum is going to happen, and that we have to give it time.
And then also, we're in the age of social media. There was no social media for real back in,
97, 96.
97, 96, back during the Monday Night Wars. Their social media influences everything nowadays. Like,
Very true.
I could literally look on Twitter. Somebody will say, oh, NXT was trash this week. Oh, okay, I'm not going to watch.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that is literally how our stuff can be influenced now. So, it's just a very interesting time that we live in terms of wrestling.
And it's a different time and it's a different war. Whoa.
Period.
So breaking news, and I'm putting this.
Is that ringside?
Yeah.
I hate ringside
Well,
news.
let's see if. All right. So it looks like it's official. WWE has announced that they are bringing back the Mae Young Classic.
Nice.
The tournament's going to be taking place on November 3rd at Full Sail University. Tickets are on sale now, but there's been no word on the participants, and there's been no time about like the air date, but you can get tickets if you're interested.
I'm sure they'll probably air it around maybe Royal Rumble time.
Probably, because I mean it's going to take like a month and a half to get everything edited.
Yeah.
But as far as NXT,
You know what they could do? They air it leading into WrestleMania, and then the winner
Winners.
of that gets a shot at Shayna Baszler's title
at Takeover,
at the Takeover in Tampa.
book it. Anyway, so we want to know your opinions about AEW NXT, the war that it is. Be sure to like, comment, tell us how you feel. But now we're moving on to Friday.
Friday Night SmackDown.
Friday Night SmackDown. It
From Los
premiered on Fox, came live from the Staples Center. And I'm not going to lie, it was a spectacle. Number one, that set was
Set is great.
fantastic. The little parentheses that you were talking about earlier.
The parentheses.
The lasers that went off in the beginning were amazing.
Yeah.
There's pyro. And I'm really glad. That's another thing. I'm glad that pyro is back.
Yeah.
It adds so much to the entrances.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what type of gimbal or stabilizer you have. Them smooth camera movements was not cutting it for them entrances, especially when
Yeah.
you're there live. It just doesn't really do a lot.
Especially for somebody like Becky, who is just no steam. Or even somebody like Brock, he does his little, roar
Yeah,
thing,
does a little
and
Lil'
there
Kim
was
dance.
nothing. It was just rah.
It was just Lil' Kim dancing, and that was it.
Not
So,
shut.
because you know it's facts. Exactly. So I feel like the pyro just does so much for production value. It just increases everything. They had a kickoff show. It very much felt like a WWE. Like it felt like Fox. It felt like something that you would watch before a football game on Sunday on
Yeah.
Fox. And they brought all those elements to WWE. And so the kickoff show was dope. I loved it. The show itself was pretty good. Obviously, the opening segment with Rock, Becky, and Corbin was it was great.
I'm trying to figure out, they promoted all these people that were going to be on it because it was
Taker.
the 20th anniversary of SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
And none of those people were on the show.
Except for Rock.
Except for The Rock.
Stone Cold had like an opening segment, like a pre-tape, but that was that. But Taker was advertised, and I just feel like they didn't really know what they wanted to do, but they had access to all these resources, so they just advertised whatever was available.
There's a picture of Fox execs sitting on the hard cam side, staring at the ring like this. And I'm just like, listen, I didn't think the show was that great. I watched part of it,
Right.
You know, they kind of hit some rehashes for the show. They had the 4 Horsewomen tag team again. I'm just like, I mean, it was good for the Raw MSG show.
Right.
That match was pretty great. It was the first time I think we'd ever seen that match.
And that was a fire match.
And it was a great match. And then the second time, it was kind of just like, it was just merely a setup for, I'm sorry. It was just merely a setup for Sasha, and I'm sorry, for Bayley and Charlotte to get for a reason for Charlotte to get her match at Hell in a Cell. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I just, you know, I'm not the greatest, I'm not the happiest about Brock Lesnar winning in 7 seconds. 10, whatever. I mean, I guess, you know, like Kofi's reign, if we really look at it in, you know, in a nutshell, Kofi's reign wasn't fantastic.
It wasn't.
You know, like they did not give him a lot of great opponents. I mean,
Randy was a great opponent.
No. His matches with Randy were boring. You know, Randy is a great opponent when he wants to be a great opponent. I mean, let's be honest here. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is me speaking as a fan, not as somebody who wants to be a wrestler. You know, Randy's an opponent when he wants to have great matches, and then, you know, you can always tell when he doesn't want to have great matches. He's just like, okay, I'm gonna go through the motions and I'm gonna just phone it in, whatever.
Essentially said, I'm gonna do my job and I'm
gonna do my job and get paid and leave. You know, Dolph Ziggler was one of his opponents as well.
And that was just, that was mediocre at best.
No one is going to believe a Dolph Ziggler WWE Championship run anymore. It was over when y'all ended it in 2013.
That's a fact.
And it's never going to happen again.
That's a fact. Now, what I will say, though, is that, yeah,
I feel like if Kofi was giving guys like Roman, Kofi was giving guys who are at the top of the card.
Even they gave him AJ.
If they gave him AJ for real, those matches would have been great, and they would. Or even if they did like a big breakup angle with the New Day and had Big E go after Kofi for the title and have Xavier kind of in the middle, like, I don't know what to do. You guys are both my friends. Don't do this.
Right.
You know, that would have been better than having this run.
I believe, but I mean, like, I felt like the thrill in him winning was the chase. It was the chase, exactly. It was the WrestleMania moment. And I think that essentially the reign was only good for the WrestleMania moment and the 24 that came from it.
Yeah.
And that was it. Because that 24 was popping because I was a part of it. But
I was like feeling yourself a little bit.
OD feeling myself. But I felt like, yeah, I don't. And the funny thing is that if they wanted it to be bigger and if they wanted it to be better, they could have.
They would have.
They would have.
You know.
But like, hey, they got Brock as the champ now. And Cain Velasquez.
I feel like they did the Naomi thing with him. They gave Naomi her little run as SmackDown Women's Champion. She lost it at SummerSlam that year, and then it was over. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I feel like this is his run. You know, he gets his run as WWE Champion. He got his story after 11 years. He finally got the title, and this is it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Literally.
You know, maybe they'll put him back in a position where he's fighting. You know, I wouldn't be shocked if they had him like in number one contender fatal 4-ways, or, you know, in, you know, maybe an elimination chamber again next this year or something like that. But, you know, I don't even see the WWE title being defended on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't either, because there's been no announcement made of it, and we are a little bit over 24 hours until the show.
Yeah.
But that's that for SmackDown on Fox. Let us know how you felt about it.
Yeah, I mean, the Cain
Velasquez was dope.
The Cain Velasquez thing was pretty cool, but I'm just like, you know, I know that he's like been training. I know that he's had a couple of matches so far, but I'm just like, dude, you had to bring in a former MMA fighter to even, you know, that's how much it says about your guys that you have been pushing.
But I don't even think that it was a matter of like them, like who they're pushing or who they have or what they're. I think that the reason why Cain was brought in and Tyson Fury was plugged into the program as well is because the reason why WWE SmackDown is on Fox to begin with is because UFC signed a deal with ESPN. Period. UFC signed a deal with ESPN, And because of that, their major fighting component, the thing that made them tough, the thing that gave them their grit, has gone. So when WWE came to Fox, people know that WWE is scripted, it's sports entertainment, and they needed a form of grit. When you have Brock Lesnar as your champion and you have Cain Velasquez essentially positioned as a number one contender, because
Basically.
that's going to be the thing that has crossover appeal. That's the thing that's going to have the UFC fans like, ooh, that's interesting. And if Ronda comes back, I'm pretty sure she's going to be on SmackDown.
Yeah,
as well.
no. If Ronda comes back, she needs to be a SmackDown girl. I think. Here's what I think. And after this, we can go into like our Hell in a Cell predictions. I think that for this draft next week, we're definitely going to get Brock on. Well, Brock is
By default,
basically
yeah.
by default. He's a SmackDown guy now. I think Becky's going to SmackDown. I think Charlotte is going to Raw. I think Bayley's going to stay. I don't think Charlotte's winning on Sunday. Spoiler alert. I think Bayley's going to stay, and I think we're going to get Becky and Bayley for the title. I think Becky probably beats Bayley, and then I think we get Ronda coming back and challenging Becky for the SmackDown title.
And the funniest thing is that I would not be opposed to that at all.
I want that one-on-one match.
I want that
singles match.
And it would be dope if they did that at Survivor Series.
It would be pretty. It depends
But it
on what
wouldn't
they
make
do with
sense.
Survivor Series. We don't know if it's going to be the one time a year, even though the wild card rule for the past 6 months that Raw and SmackDown compete in head-to-head competition.
Okay, Jason Jordan, you don't have to say the whole tagline.
I don't know.
But here's the point that I was bringing up earlier as far as NXT being on the USA Network. If NXT is on the USA Network, making them an official brand and not just developmental, and Survivor Series is this one time a year where all the brands are in competition, does this mean that we get NXT versus SmackDown versus Raw?
That is very funny because in WWE 2K19, I just did Survivor Series in Universe mode.
Yeah.
And I did Fatal 4-Ways. So it was NXT versus NXT UK versus Raw versus SmackDown. Now, NXT UK is they're obviously not pushing it on that same level.
Right.
But I wouldn't mind seeing you would have to explain it a certain way, but I wouldn't mind seeing like the women's title and the main title having triple threat matches. So you get like Sasha Banks, spoiler alert, you get Sasha Banks versus maybe Becky Lynch or versus Bayley versus Shayna Baszler. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or you get you get Adam Cole versus Brock Lesnar versus
Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins. Even though, because I don't want to see Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins again. I've had my fill.
Yeah, it's done. Yeah,
I've had my quota.
over.
I'm over it. I don't want to see it again. I don't think I need to see that match for another couple of years.
my God.
That and Brock versus Roman, which I'm sure we're getting at WrestleMania. I don't want to
tuning
see
out.
it. I don't care.
I'm tuning out. But, I mean, if we're going this far, as far as like this, we're going to talk about our Hell in a Cell predictions.
We are going to talk about a Hell in a Cell predictions.
And this is going to be pretty brief because there are only four scheduled matches. So let's just get right into it. So first, we have the SmackDown Women's Championship where we have the champion Bayley defending against Charlotte Flair. Who do you have, Bayley or Charlotte, and why?
Well, I mean, I just gave my thing away. I think Bayley is going to retain. I definitely think that finish that they had at Clash of Champions was great. I thought that was a great finish. Considering how Bayley kind of turned, I think they're going to tease it again. I think Charlotte is probably going to, try something. I don't know. I think Bayley might purposefully get herself counted out or get herself disqualified or get Charlotte disqualified. I don't think Charlotte wins the title. But I wouldn't be shocked if she did, because then I could see them moving Bayley to Raw as well.
Right.
So I don't know. I say Bayley because it's what I want. So I say Bayley retains her title.
Okay. I am going to go the same route. I believe that Bayley is going to retain the title because of the reasons you said earlier as far as Charlotte being drafted to Raw. I also feel like if Bayley even has a heel victory over Charlotte, that's going to elevate her reign, considering the position that they put Charlotte in as far as being kind of like the leader of the women's revolution.
Yeah.
I
think I'm going to change my prediction. I think I'm going to go with Charlotte.
Really?
And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to go with Charlotte. Charlotte is gonna win. They've been pushing this whole Charlotte 10 reigns thing. If Charlotte is in her, I feel like Fox is gonna want something like Charlotte being in her 10th reign.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, if they want to continue the Sasha Banks and Bayley best friends heel thing, they can do that on Raw. Sasha Banks can be
Sasha being the
WWE champion. WWE. Well,
Raw Women's Champion.
Oh, we all wish.
You wouldn't
I
wouldn't
wish.
mind that.
Sasha Banks could be Raw Women's Champion. Bayley could be, whatever, best friend, whatnot. They could even maybe go after the Women's Tag Team Championships as well.
Get a legitimate reign.
And get a legit reign. You know what I'm saying? They could go and have the match that we've wanted at WrestleMania for all this time. I really wanted a 4 Horsewomen Fatal 4-Way. So who knows? They could put all the 4 Horsewomen on the same brand. You never know. So, but I honestly feel like they want to continue the story with Sasha Banks and Bayley and give us a proper story, what we should have gotten 2 years ago.
But they're going to have to rebuild and rehash. And I feel like if they were to both go to the same brand, they would have the opportunity to do that.
That's what I'm saying. Right. So I feel like Charlotte goes to SmackDown. She stays on SmackDown as SmackDown Women's Champion, maybe. I don't know. It's weird.
So you going Charlotte? I'm gonna go Bayley.
I'm gonna go with Charlotte, even though if Bayley does it, it makes more sense because it's different matches.
Right. Now we want to know all your predictions, but we're gonna get to that by the end. The next match, Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. I'm going to go with Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns for the win.
I'm going to go with Eric Rowan and Luke Harper.
Wow.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because Bryan has been pushing this thing. I hate liars. I hate liars so much. If you lie to me, you're dishonest and blah, 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 blah. And when he was saying it on SmackDown, because I literally watched a clip of SmackDown, when he was saying it on SmackDown, talking about, when he was on commentary, which shout out to the 2-man booth, Michael Cole and Corey Graves, I live. He just kept saying it. And I'm just like, yeah, no. I think it's going to come out that Bryan is the mastermind. And it's Bryan who was basically saying, I'm going to smack you a few times, put me through a table. And then when this match is booked, I am going to help you guys beat up Roman Reigns.
Funny thing about it is that would be very interesting.
It would be very interesting. And
they could form a legitimate faction behind Daniel Bryan.
Form a faction. But here's the thing though, and what's so funny, somebody pointed out to me, Bryan broke away from the Wyatt family to mess around and just be back in the Wyatt family. Which is so funny. But also, if they do the whole 3-man thing, who do you put with Roman?
I heard the Usos are returning soon.
Oh, yeah, the Usos. I forgot about them.
I heard the Usos are coming back
then
soon.
you put the Usos with them. Because I was literally like, who do you put with Roman? Because Seth's on Raw. And
yeah, exactly. I was going to say, and I could see Roman.
Dean Ambrose doesn't exist.
Exactly. Dean is dead. So Roman, I feel like after the match, Roman is going to do something along the lines of cutting a promo like, when you're in this business, you can only trust so many people, but you can always count on family. Cue the Usos theme song.
Or maybe not a promo. Maybe like they beating up Roman at the pay-per-view and then all you hear is their music and then they...
Man, and the bloodline being an actual thing, like an actual faction that just rolls together would be fire.
I need a heel bloodline. Anyway,
that would be fire.
So I'm going with Team
Half Wyatt. I'm gonna switch mine because of your logic. I'm gonna go with Eric.
Yeah,
Rowan
we're gonna go
with
with
Carpet. So, and now we have for the Raw Women's Championship in a Hell in a Cell, Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. I'm gonna go with Sasha Banks.
Hello? I just feel like they purposefully didn't have her win the title at Clash because they wanted to extend Becky's reign into having her walk into Fox as the champion.
Right.
And then they also wanted to, give this more of a story.
Right.
I think they've been making Sasha look like a, scaredy cat, look like the P word for a reason.
Yeah.
I think that she's going to beat Becky in Hell in a Cell, avenge her loss to Charlotte 3 years ago, and become a 5-time Raw Women's Champion, a 5-time Raw Women's Champion.
Can you dig that, sucker?
All right, I'm done. I'm sorry. That was my little Booker T impression. Yeah, I think she is going to be a 5-time Raw Women's Champion, and I really do think Becky's going to SmackDown. I mean, she's the face of the company, and SmackDown is basically the A show now.
Yeah.
I think they move her to SmackDown.
Hands down.
Yeah,
Raw is about to be main event plus.
No.
Main event pro.
Okay. Main event pro max. I think I think Sasha wins this title, and I think they give her a
good run
with the championship. Because if you really think about it,
who is
on Raw? Who is messing with Sasha on Raw?
Lacey Evans.
I mean, I think they automatically have a little thing with Sasha and Natty that they can go into. You know, if they keep Natty on Raw, I think you, boom, go right into a Natty Sasha program.
I can also see a Sasha Naomi program.
Whenever Naomi returns.
Yeah.
That would be cool. They could kind of talk about the past with Team Bad.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. You know, they could be like, oh, well, when you came up, I was your blah, 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 you know, type thing. They could do that. Naomi and Sasha have always had pretty great chemistry.
Yeah.
If they move Asuka back to Raw, we could have Sasha versus Asuka.
And they had a great match.
That match
following first ever Women's Rumble. Yeah.
That match, I think to this day, literally you can put that match up against any of Asuka's any of Asuka's matches in NXT for the title, and it would be
would stack up.
It would stack up really well. I think the only match that it would be like equal or maybe even a little bit below is the Asuka Ember match at TakeOver Brooklyn 3.
I can agree with that.
But because that match, I think still to this day is like insane
sacred.
To me. It's just like I was watching the finish of that match.
Of Bayley and...
No, of Ember and Asuka at Brooklyn 3.
Yeah. Yo, we were there. Oh my God.
And I just still to this day, I just remember that super kick. I thought it was over.
Thought it was done.
Like I thought it was over. And then when she reverses the pin into the Asuka lock, I was like, oh my God, Ember! It was insane. Okay, I'm reliving it right now. Sasha Banks. I think it's time I think Becky's had a good run.
Yeah.
With the Raw title. I think it's time that she goes to SmackDown.
She needs a change.
I think if they're 100% putting Ronda on SmackDown. Yeah. You put Ronda on SmackDown, if Ronda is the Joker, Becky Lynch is Batman. Like, come on.
That's the way that it goes. And to be honest, it shouldn't be any other way.
Any other way.
Now, the next match is The Fiend Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. Who do you think is going to win and why?
Seth Rollins, disqualification because they gave it away on Twitter.
Well, I'm going to go with the same thing. I'm just trying to figure out why this match isn't in a Hell in a Cell.
No, it is inside Hell in a Cell.
It is inside of Hell in a Cell, so why would there be a DQ? There's no...
It's on Twitter. It said... inside Hell in a Cell, who do you think is going to win? Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt, or Seth Rollins, The Fiend, disqualification. I'm just like, Hell in a Cell, you use weapons, there's no DQ.
Right.
But last year, Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman
went to no contest. But that's not the same thing as a DQ though.
Well, I mean, it's not the same thing, but I think it ends in a no contest, or the Undertaker can come in or something. I don't think that's going to happen.
Taker
I definitely don't think that.
Taker fed up. He fed up after last night. He not. Y'all can't use him.
I definitely don't think
Going back
the
to
Undertaker
Texas.
is coming in
any capacity.
I definitely don't think he's coming in, but I do think that this match is not going to end with a clear winner.
Yeah, I think that it's not. I'm just going to keep it at that.
Which is why I don't think this match should close the show.
I don't think it will. I think that Becky and Sasha should close the show. But I'm going to go with a no winner on this one.
Yeah.
So that concludes our Hell in a Cell predictions for Sunday night. we want to know what your predictions are. So if you're watching this, be sure to comment, tell us how you feel. And that concludes our first episode of season 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be on the lookout for more content from us. Culture Course on Instagram TV is coming soon.
We have a bunch of stuff coming.
We have a bunch of stuff. We have merchandise, stickers, just a bunch of content. So thank you guys for watching season 1 with us. But season 2 is about to be 12 times better, 12 times more lit.
Definitely. Shout outs to everybody who helped out with season 1. Shout out to Whitney. Shout out to Nora. Shout out to all of the guests that we had on season 1. Shout out to the Jobber Tears podcast for making our season finale extremely fun.
Oh my God, so much fun.
Wilkins, Dre, we waiting on you.
We waiting on you.
We waiting on you.
We are waiting on you.
I will see you on Sunday. Oh, speaking of Sunday, Hell in a Cell at Legends Bar, Jobber Tears. They always put on a fantastic event. Actually, well, okay, so today's Sunday. That means you should be on your way.
Yeah, because at this point it's probably about 4:30.
It's like 4:30. You know,
you ain't doing nothing.
I'm home. I'm gonna go home and change into my costume because it's also a costume party. Best costume gets free. Well, okay, it's not really a best costume party because I'm gonna have the best costume. So like, you can come and be like my arm candy.
Arm candy.
But like,
technically that would work too.
You know, considering who I'm gonna be, you can come and be my arm candy. But I'm going to win for best costume.
But anyway, that concludes our show. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see y'all next week. Pew, 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 pew.